Hello and welcome to the Insane Gorillas podcast, where we talk about a different movie each week. This week we are talking about the anime horror film called Perfect Blue. And real quick before we start, we're gonna go ahead and give a spoiler warning. Spoiler warning. Just please don't watch our movie analysis type thing and review. If you have not seen this movie, please go watch this movie. It's really good. Ty will also say that, right? It's really good.
Yeah.
And
This is my one of my.
yeah, it's one of my favorites as well. So please go watch this movie before you watch our podcast. Go ahead, hit pause, and go watch the movie. And then let's get into it, shall we?
All right. Yeah.
So for this film,
So
I don't have a lot of notes, but I have a good amount of notes, I think. Did you write notes on this one?
okay. No, because this is like the fifth time I've seen it, so I kind of remember most of it.
Okay. Well, this was my first time seeing it, and it was pretty good. As you know, I really like horror movies, and this was like right up my alley. So
Mm.
I really enjoyed it. I'm just gonna say that now. I won't review it
Yeah.
right now. But so I do a thing where I kind of like on these mystery horror movies, I kind of like say who the killer is, like at the beginning, who I think it's gonna be,
Hmm.
and I was totally wrong. I
Yeah.
think I was sort of wrong. So I said it was the security guard, the Gollum looking guy. I called him security guard Gollum,
Yeah.
and I think that's the way they want you to think it, the way they want you to think that it's gonna be. But
Yeah.
no, it's not. So that kind of threw me off. So I clocked in at 9 minutes and I said, calling it now, security guard Gollum. And I was not correct. Well, but then
Yeah. Your expectations.
there
Yeah.
is a little bit of a suspicion behind just because he could have possibly, wasn't he trying to attempt to kill her?
Oh wait, what'd you say? What'd you say?
Wasn't he the security guard Gollum, is he trying to like kill Mima? Is it Mima? Yeah. He tries killing her, right?
Yeah. He's trying to. Yeah. Well, they think that. Well, the one of the theories, or it's like it's really ambiguous on who it actually is. But I mean, there are lots of hints given. Um, So some people think that the movie is kind of meant to make you think that Mima is the one doing the killings,
Hmm.
or some of the killings at least. But really, it's kind of just a clever staging, and for it to be Rumi. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but on this time around, I actually noticed a couple things in this movie that I didn't notice any other times. I noticed a couple. Um, One thing is this is a really small detail. Like a fucking I don't know if I've seen anyone point this out before. But on Mima's homepage, the website, right? Mima's room. Um on one scene when she's looking through the website, keep in mind this isn't her website. So at one point when she's looking through the website, it there's these little bullet points that she's reading off about like how the logs of what like how she took her left foot forward and all that stuff. Um, Matt, Matt.
Sorry, I have someone in my room. So, I'm
Oh
not.
shit. Anyway, no, you're good, bro. Anyway, the little bullet points on the fucking website are the fish. Those are the fucking fish that are in her fish tank. It's just such a
Uh,
small detail, but that means that the stalker knew what exact fish she had. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
whoever it was knew exactly what type of fish she had and set it to be that way. Which
no,
it was Me Mania.
yeah.
The Gollum dude, his like alias is Me Mania. That's like what he's known as.
Okay. Is me Mania? Let's call him. I'm gonna call him Gollum. I don't care. Me Mania is
Oh,
kind of
it's Me
confusing.
Mania.
And
It's
I'm
me
call
because he.
It's Gollum. It's Gollum. He looks straight up like Gollum with
No, it's Me
weird eyes.
Mania.
Uh,
All right.
okay, Me Mania. Me Mania. I'll try to remember that. I have security guard Gollum memorized though. so I might accidentally say that.
All right.
But is he the one in charge of the website? He's not, right? It's Rumi-chan is the one in charge of the website because she knows the
I
fish and
think
stuff, and she's the one acting like she's Mimi. So I think it's
or
Rumi-chan's
Mima.
in charge of the website, and the Me-mania is just a guy trying to get her, like to, like try to get her to be his girlfriend, and because he adores her.
Well, no, we see him kind of talking and mouthing out what's being put on the website. So
He could just be reading
as
it.
he's typing it, I guess he could be.
I thought that was like a
He could
messenger.
be.
Well, he was like sending it on.
Oh,
But
that's right. That's right. That's
when
right.
he's
So yeah, yeah,
talking
yeah,
out
yeah, yeah,
loud,
yeah. You're right.
he's basically saying what he's writing, but then he's also reading the web page at the same time. So I think Rumi-chan. Plus,
Yeah.
you never see Me-mania actually go to the house or anything like that. You never see. So I looked out the window when you could see like when the blinds are open and there's no like sort of indication that someone's watching her from outside. So it had to be someone who came into her room, and the only person who you see actually really in her room is her managers, Rumi-chan, and
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Can you say? Could you say that again? Could you explain
the
that
only
again?
people you could see in her room that would know that personal information is Rumi-chan. Like know the fish.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I
yeah.
don't think
She. Yeah,
Mimania
she's the only
is
one who
just one
know
of
the
those
fish, and
fanboys, like the stalker fanboy. He's a
right, he's
red
an
herring.
obsessive fan. He's an obsessive. Right, right. He is a red herring. Because Rumi and him are conspiring together, essentially.
Hmm.
Like Rumi is manipulating. She's
Rumi,
manipulating his um, idea of what Mima is. You know what I mean? He's like because she thinks she's Mima as well. So
yeah,
Rumi is hallucinating that she is Mima. Mimania is hallucinating the pop idol Mima, and Mima herself is hallucinating
the
her
actress.
past self. Right. And I think that's the coolest thing in this movie is because it's not supernatural technically speaking, but it's such a specific condition where all three of these people are kind of hallucinating the same thing for different reasons that it kind of essentially exists between them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like whenever there's a confrontation or like especially between at the end between Rumi and Mima, there's it's just it's a very well done parallel. I think that's like my favorite part.
are you saying Mimania might have some sort of disorder, or I
Well,
think
we
he's
do
just like
see
a
him
stalker. I
hallucinating.
think he's just infatuated with this person. Like, we've heard stories on the news about famous people being stalked, and then yeah. So I think he's just a
But we
stalker. I
literally
don't think he
do
has a
see him.
disorder.
Well, no, 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 no. I think you're wrong there because those two things are not mutually exclusive. It's actually probably more likely to be the opposite. So I think the fact that he literally does hallucinate Mima, Pop Idol Mima, is suggestive that he does quite obviously have some kind of mental disorder or some kind of perceptive dissociation.
Yeah, because
This
I
is
during the movie I was trying to diagnose what these people are dealing with, and I think Rumi definitely has multiple personality disorder, thinking herself as Mima, and then I
Mhm.
think they mention her having mental or multiple personality disorder later, but then the other disorder that's mentioned is schizophrenia, which is what I think Mima's dealing with
Mhm.
because she pictures Rumi as her old self and kind of she also
Mm.
pictures Rumi or her old self in places where she's not supposed to be, and she has all these weird hallucinations and delusions throughout the movie. So
Yeah,
I think
but
she might have schizophrenia, but then I'm trying to think what could Me Mania have?
well, it's meant to be vague, right? It's not really necessarily meant to be a diagnosis of who has what. Like, it's more so just the culmination of all of these things, how it creates, this loss of identity, and that's like a huge thing. The loss of identity, the stealing of an identity, the corruption, you know what I mean? But the I think something that I actually paid attention to the first time, or something I paid attention to is how in the movie as it continues, Mima's. I think she has. Oh, one second, I have to cough. Or burp. Or what's it? Fuck. What? Okay, yeah, I think that's a cough. Anyway,
You
yeah,
think
I
it's a
don't
cough?
know.
I don't
Anyway,
know what it was either, though. So
oh God, you cut out for a second. What'd you say?
I don't know what it was either.
I said, okay, whatever. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, I was saying, so throughout the movie, in the first couple of scenes, or throughout the whole movie, you see how the scenes bleed together. The scenes with Mima, where it's centering on her,
Hmm.
at the beginning, the scenes bleed together because it's a repetition of the situation on the set, repetition of her getting off the bus, her going to her house. You know what I mean? So in the movie, in the beginning, this sort of bleeding together of events is slow at first, but you can tell, right? Like the way it cuts might seem to be a little bit weird, but that's intentional. And then it falls back on those techniques later on in the movie when her, I guess you could call it, when her dissociation or disassociation is at its peak, is when the cuts and the transitions, like how they bleed into each other, it starts doing that constantly. I just think that's a really, really interesting. This movie does well, like thematically, it captures like the kind of feeling. I think it captures kind of like the vicarious feeling of just like losing your identity and kind of going insane in a way. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
stress driving you to a point where you kind of disassociate and kind of lose track of where you are or what you're doing or what the fuck is even going on. Right? So that's the beauty of it. So I think really to some extent trying to understand exactly what happened is false because it's deliberately the facts and events are deliberately misconstrued to make it ambiguous so you can kind of so on one hand you don't really know and on the other hand take your meaning away from it. So I personally don't believe, or I could be wrong, Satoshi Kon could have said that he has a true answer, but I personally believe that this is one of those situations where kind of like The Thing, right? Where nobody really knows. Like, you know how The Thing, it's like John Carpenter
Yeah.
kind of lost track of who The Thing actually was. I feel like it's like that. Like, who's really the killer? Did Mima really kill these people? Did Me-Mania really kill these people? You know what I mean? Like, to
Yeah.
some extent. Or I feel like he might have actually known at one point and then changed around some details deliberately. Like putting the bloody pizza person's clothes in Mima's closet. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
I feel like that was.
That's the one that I actually think that it was Mima was the pizza delivery kill because that was the photographer, wasn't it?
Mm,
That's the only one I think that
yeah,
Mima
that's
could
what I
have
thought
possibly
too.
have done because she has
Yeah,
the
that's what I
evidence.
thought.
There's evidence actually in her house, and that's not related to any. She has no evidence from the other killings, only from that one specifically, and she has a motive.
Well,
She has sort of a motive.
I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't say no evidence, but there actually is a point to go against that, and this is why I kind of think that the plot points after the movie was written, Satoshi Kon, being the genius director that he is, may have deliberately changed factual events in the story to make it more vague. Because when you look at the scene where the pizza delivery person kills the photographer, right? The screwdriver that the pizza person uses is the same exact screwdriver that Rumi uses when she attacks Mima,
Hmm.
which kind of lends into the idea that it wasn't Mima, but then her clothes or
But
the
then
delivery
also the
clothes are in
reaction.
Mima's room.
The reaction the guy had when he opened the door was, "Oh, you don't look like a pizza delivery person." Sort of, like, I don't know. It
No,
just
no, he
seems
doesn't say
like
that. he says you're an odd. He's like, you're an odd pizza delivery person
Oh,
because the pizza delivery person drops the box. They drop the pizza box. And he's like, you're kind of weird. You know what I mean?
I've never had a pizza delivery
So
person drop the box. I've
right,
always
and
had to
that's
accept
kind
it.
of what made him right.
Huh.
But so you know what I mean? So it's purposefully confusing. And also, after Mima, I think Mima's fight with Mimania at the end, um, or near the end, is was real. I think that really happened. But also, I'm pretty sure Rumi is the one who killed the other manager, right? But it shows a flash to him,
But
it shows like a cut.
there's
Oh, go
another
ahead, go ahead, go
thing
ahead.
also. If you look at Mimania's body, if we are thinking what I think Mima had done was picked up a prop hammer, like one that
Mm-hmm.
wasn't meant to hurt. So I think she picked up a prop hammer, so like something that's a little hard. It's supposed to like feel like a little bit harder than a regular like foam hammer, or like it's supposed to not hit as hard as a regular hammer, but more like a foam hammer,
I don't
but
know
it
about
had some
that.
weight.
It
Because
went into his head.
if you look at his body, it's his eye looks like it's where something went in. When she hit him with the hammer, hit him in the head
Right.
from the side. So I'm not sure if if she actually did that one or not either.
Well, here's what I
It
think could
takes a
also be
great deal of
possible. I mean, we
force.
could be wrong because they're.
It can take a great deal
Well,
of
yeah,
force
but.
for that. Oh, you can go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I keep cutting out. I think probably, but we'll keep. I mean, there are people that have dove into the theories movie like fucking insane, but uh, I think that it's entirely possible that Mima could have killed Mimania, and then Rumi, who was also in the place, the building at the time, could have moved the body afterwards, right? Then gotten caught in the act by the other manager and killed
The
him.
security
Or
guard guy.
it could have been that she, right. Or she could have blamed him. You know what I mean? Because we see there are little hints actually. If you watch throughout the movie early, the early part, the first half, when things are a little bit more boring, like less action packed, less suspenseful, um, there are hints that Rumi is like a little bit off. You know what I mean? Like they're kind of little tiny hints. Um, like for example, the other manager, the male manager of Mima, he's talking to Rumi, and he kind of says something to her mockingly about her being like a failed idol. You know what I mean? Like a failed pop idol. Um, and she kind of like tosses it aside as a joke. And then later on in the kind of fake rape scene, the one where it's kind of
The TV show.
it's it's not right. It's the TV show, and it's not really happening, but it's portrayed and feels oddly, almost as if
It's
it
real.
is happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like emotionally it is real, even though it's not really happening. But when that happens, Rumi starts like crying, which I think when you see that at first, you kind of think, okay, so she's just feeling sympathy, right? Like that's what I thought at first is she's just feeling sympathy for Mima, like she feels bad for it because she's in this situation. But I actually think it might be contempt that's making her cry in that scene. I mean, if having the context now to understand that, Rumi was a failed pop idol who became obsessed with this image of Mima, I think it's entirely possible that she was in contempt of or held immense hatred towards Mima earlier than we predicted and was crying in that scene like almost out of tears of anger for her doing such a thing. You know what I mean? Kind of how Mimania was obsessed with her image, like Mima's image as a pop idol.
Yeah. I can see that. It's just I didn't see. I don't think I was looking too deep into it because I was surprised when Rumi Chan showed up, but I I don't know. It just I wish I could have seen a little more of like could have expected it a little more, but I think that's just how they wanted it to be. Is like kind of like oh, this is the actual killer. But there was one area where it kind of really confused me, and it's the weird
Mm-hmm.
dream sequences where she's like where like she's always waking up. Do you like she's waking
Mm-hmm.
up from one dream and then it's almost like she's in another dream and then she wakes up and then she does that like 6 or 7 times. And it's really
Right.
confusing. So
Well, it's because it's not a dream. It's not a dream. It's a combination of combination of her perception and her disassociated eyes, mixed with her. It's basically it's not a dream. It's Satoshi Kon showing you kind of inside of what her perception is like when she's disassociating. So it's not like a dream within a dream within a dream. It's not that at all. I mean, it could theoretically be that, but that's not really what it is. It's just she's misconstruing and misunderstanding the facts of what she did in the day, and she's reading the blog and it's saying that she did these things that she doesn't remember doing, but she probably did, but she doesn't know. And so it's meant to be like feel like a dream. It's meant to, by all intents and purposes, it's meant to feel like a dream, but it's not really a dream. It's a manipulation of reality within the movie.
okay.
I mean, does that make more sense?
Yeah, a little bit more. It's just after a while it starts to get a little confusing, but I think this is one of those movies you want to watch a couple times and you'll start to understand certain things.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And you'll start to see things through new eyes, kind of. So,
Right. Yeah, if you it's told in a way that's literally almost impossible to that for you to be able to tell exactly what would be happening. You know what I mean? Like the details are left there, and some of them are so blaringly obvious that you'd think that it would be easy to tell, but it's one of those things where it's almost impossible to tell unless you're on a rewatch or you know what I mean, unless you're paying very close attention. So this is also I should note that this is Satoshi Kon's debut film.
this is his first. What other films has he done?
This is his. He did Paprika. He did Tokyo Godfathers. He did Millennium Actress. He did a TV show called Paranoia Agent. Satoshi Kon is one of the anime directors that Hollywood has taken a lot of ideas from. Christopher Nolan is heavily inspired by him.
Paprika's
Um,
the one I think,
the
is it
person who did
Christopher Nolan's bought Paprika?
no, yeah, Paprika, because it's there are some scenes in that are like incredibly similar, but it's not just that. It's the whole dream within a dream within a dream thing. Um, it's very Satoshi Kon.
Huh. So on my notes here, a lot of my stuff never came to fruition or anything. So I said, so this movie has some cheesy ideas, with the acting in a TV
Wait,
show.
could you say that again? Sorry, I.
It's sort of cheesy with her acting in a TV show and like a murder TV show, especially while all these murders are going on that could be related to her. And I had predicted someone's gonna get their skin peeled off because I was thinking that it would be more of a horror movie, like more like that, but it wasn't. It wasn't what I was expecting.
Yeah,
Hey, could you give me a minute? I
no,
gotta
it's
get
it's
up.
like psychologically horrifying.
I gotta get up and close my door.
Yeah, go
Someone
ahead,
walked
go
in
ahead.
and didn't close it.
Oh, okay. You good?
I'm back. So
Okay, you're back. All right. So what were you saying? Your theory?
I was expecting someone to die similar to the way they die in the TV show, which happens with the ice pick kind of. Um, but I was expecting it to be the guy who got his skin peeled off, kind of like his face and stuff in the TV show.
Mm.
But I think I was thinking that it was going to be more like a horror movie where it's going to have more blood and gore than it did. it didn't have so much blood and gore. It's
Right.
more
Like
psychological horror. You do
right.
see some
And
blood
then it
and
is
gore though.
the few moments. Yeah, the few moments of intense violence are because they're so unexpected and so violent as they are. You know what I mean? It's they're more jarring. You know what I mean? You don't really expect it, and it really fucking. It's like when you see it, you feel panic. You know what I mean? Or at least me, when I see like the scene with the ice pick or the screwdriver and the photographer, I feel like panic. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
like an immediate sense of danger. And those moments are really good in this movie. But like you said, on top of that, it's more psychological, and it really makes you consider a lot of things. You know, it makes you consider um, kind of what dissociating or disassociating is might feel like. It also makes you kind of consider um, like the obsessive fan mentality. You know what I mean? Like the obsessive fan, obsessive person in general, stalker. You know, it's and it's also about paranoia. Um, and I think it's really interesting because these types of things are in all of Satoshi Kon's movies, like in one way or another. Perfect Blue is more horror than anything. I mean, he's never really done anything else as like horror like as this. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I personally think that this is his best movie, but that's just me.
Well, I haven't seen any of his other movies to be able to judge that, but there's one scene in
What'd you say?
particular.
Sorry.
I haven't seen any of his other movies to judge whether it's his best, but there are scenes that are like I really found like wow, this is really good at like some scenes you can really feel the character's emotions. So, and I haven't had that
Mm-hmm.
so far on like anime so far except for maybe Full Metal Alchemist and then the I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. Um but this one like
Right.
more so it gave me chills. Like the first time she
Yeah.
opens that website and starts looking and reading what's been going like what she's been doing all day, it gave me chills because it was like you could see her face change from like oh I'm so excited to try this internet out and stuff, and then it's like when she finds
Right.
out what's on the website she's like you can feel that emotion. It just gives you chills like
Right. It's like
something weird's going on. So
yeah, I think they did a really good job with the handling of Mima's character, like putting you in her shoes, um, and making you feel the things that she feels, you know. And I think it's also a really interesting detail that her disorder is actually hinted at earlier in the movie, not through exposition, not through telling you, but through showing you through the directorial, you know, the direction that Satoshi Kon takes, the things he does, like I said, the bleeding together of scenes, the moments where she seems a little bit lost, like she doesn't know what her line is in the show before things really get bad. You know, those little things, like it's hinting, it's giving you little hints at her disassociation, and no one notices. You know what I mean? Nobody notices. Like I don't mean like as in fans. I mean like within the show, nobody notices that there's something wrong with her. Like really, they don't. You know what I mean? And once she gets to the point where she is disassociating and she doesn't know if she's done these things or she doesn't, you know what I mean? All of that. It's incredibly interesting because the, I don't know. It just kind of calls. I think it does like this whole psychological perspective very well. More, I'd say it's does it like I think Satoshi Kon's direction in this movie is probably the some of the best direction in all of anime ever.
yeah, so I don't know how realistic the depiction of
And I would
these
even venture to say that it's probably do what?
I don't know how realistic some of the depictions of these disorders are, but I think the way we see
Right.
them usually in society and everything is like, or through movies usually is like this big thing. You can really tell that they're having these problems, but actually in real life, they might seem like a normal person, most of the time, and that's kind of what I get when the actors on the set don't really know what's going on, like, and they can't really
Right, right.
tell.
Like she's Mima is famous. You know, she's famous. She's a famous pop idol. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So it's like it's not. This isn't just. It's not just some creepy thing. You know, it's something that's fundamentally misunderstood, and obviously not just in our culture, but worldwide. You know, I mean, watching this movie, it's obviously I'm not a Japanese person. I can't understand really the cultural, you know, message necessarily of a Japanese director, but I think that the things that he gets across are universal. You know what I mean? They're things that are perfectly applicable to our real world. Not our real world. I worded that a little bit weirdly. That's not what I meant. But I mean, from the movie, as compared to the movie, right? Because the movie's obviously not the real world. What I mean is, comparing the movie to our real world, I think there's lots of takeaways there between, you know, you can each of the characters has each of the main you have you have these two antagonists and you have the protagonist Mima. But in a way, you could say that Mima is also an antagonist to herself. Obvious. I mean, not just because of her, like the way that she's like disassociating and stuff, but like literally in her reflection of herself in the pop idol, which represents like the her that everyone else sees her as, and the her that it's like the pop idol Mima is like the her that everyone else sees and perceives her to be, and it's not necessarily who she really is, and she's kind of haunted by that. You know what I mean? So it in a way it's like the way that people perceive you to be is the way that you really are. You know what I mean? To some extent, because it's like the way that she will be remembered, the way that she is known is as Mima the pop idol. But obviously she's a person with complex feelings and emotions and thoughts and yada yada yada. So it's it says a lot about not only identity but like
How people see
just
you.
the like being. Do what?
How people see you. Sort of like how people
Yeah,
perceive
yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
Like yeah, yeah.
yeah. So, we've
Like
gone through.
your identity as
We've gone through all
yourself
my
and your
notes,
identity
by
from
the way.
others.
My notes were actually really short. I thought they were longer than they were. So,
Hmm.
um, but
What? So you already went through all your notes?
yeah,
Wow,
I did not.
that is
I thought
crazy.
I had a lot more notes than that, but
Yeah, I would have thought so too.
what I kept thinking during this movie was this is a lot like Joker. Like the
Hmm.
movie, the new movie, The Joker, the one with who is it? Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker.
Yeah, Joaquin Phoenix.
I felt like this one was pretty similar to. It was pretty similar to Perfect Blue, because Perfect Blue came before it. But I kept comparing it to the Joker because they both deal with like disorders and stuff, and also you can't tell what's real and what's not.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
It leaves things kind of though. It leaves like what's real and what's actually happening, and you know, it
leaves
leaves that kind of
questions.
vague. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's very much intentional. This movie is not meant to be like, oh, there's the killer, you found him. You know what I mean?
Hmm. So yeah, for all we
It's
know,
it's it's, it's meant to be very interpretative.
even Gollum could have committed murder. So
Yeah, and also I think it's interesting. This is this is I think purely coincidence at this point, but this is the third movie that we've covered that Katsuhiro Otomo has worked on.
I don't know that name. Does
Yes, you do. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
Oto?
But you do know who he is because he's the guy he directed Akira. He wrote the Akira
Oh,
manga. He directed Metropolis.
Metropolis.
Um, he was a producer for Perfect Blue. He was a producer for Perfect Blue.
Huh. I did not know that. I'm looking him up right now. Let's see what he did. I don't think he's labeled for Perfect Blue though. I don't think he has that on his list. But I could see where
No,
someone
I
would.
looked it up in the he's a producer. It was advertised at least. At the very least, the movie was officially advertised with Katsuhiro Otsuma as a producer. Now that could just be like a publicity thing, like an advertisement. But I don't know. I feel like he most likely was working on it, or at least I would like to believe because I think Katsuhiro Otsuma is a very smart um, director.
Huh.
Um, so, do you know anything about Satoshi Kon as a filmmaker, Matt, other than this movie?
No, not at all. I'm new to anime
So,
and stuff, so
no, you're fine. So he died tragically at I think the age of 46. So he died very young, or it was either 46 or 49 or something like that. He died in his 40s, and he had a type of I think he had cancer, and he lived long enough to where he could come to terms, um, or he kind of had the time to come to terms with what was happening to him. So he wrote this really long letter about like accepting death and how he wishes to be remembered and all this stuff. It's really sad. Like it's really sad. Definitely a a grounding experience reading that letter. It's really it feels like real as fuck because the whole time you're kind of thinking, one day this will be me, like most likely. But anyway, yeah, he died really young, and it's all the more tragic because he was Satoshi Kon is his track record up to that point was just amazing. He had Tokyo Godfathers, he had Paprika, he had Perfect Fucking Blue, he had you know Paranoia Agent, he had all this good shit. Millennium Actress, all this shit that he worked on that was just like amazing. So it was like he was like Satoshi Kon was like the next big thing. You know what I mean? Like the next big, like he was the you know next big anime director, and he died tragically. So
hmm.
I don't know. He never got to finish his final work either. I don't think. But um, if you do like this movie, I think you should check out some of his other work. I think you would like his other work. Not all of it's the same. Like it's all very different, but they all do explore similar themes in a different way. Especially the theme of like identity and paranoia. Those are both really huge things with Satoshi Kon. Um, my second favorite one after Perfect Blue is probably Tokyo Godfathers because it's a Christmas movie, but it's like the most weird, wacky, unconventional Christmas movie that you could ever possibly see.
Hmm. Uh, so you said what? Why do you think this movie is one of his best works? Do you have a certain reason, or
Um, well, pardon me if I cut out a little bit, but because I feel like something's going wrong on my end. But did you? So you asked why I feel like it's one of his best works.
yeah?
Um, I don't know. It just is. Like, in my opinion, it's not one of his best work. It is his masterpiece. In my opinion, I think it's the best thing he's ever created. Um, and it's his debut, which is kind of weird. I mean, I love all of his other stuff, but I feel like Perfect Blue is really where he kind of had like a. I feel like that's where he kind of had like I don't know. I don't want to say like lightning in a bottle because he had made great stuff afterwards, but the direction here is some of the best in anime. The art is beautiful and it fits the movie perfectly. It's not the hyper stylized, super cartoonish style of the '90s. Um, it's very distinctly Satoshi Kon, which is I don't know. It's just this movie is probably in my it's just I don't know. You've seen it, so
Yeah.
if it's one of those movies that I feel like people either love it or hate it. Um, the ending. And the kind of part where everything starts getting a little bit kind of confusing is where people start to kind of be like, all most of the complaints I've heard about this movie are from people completely misunderstanding that part of the movie. You know what I mean?
Well, it's a bit of an overload kind of on information. You're getting information from so many places, sort of. That's kind of what I had was like, okay, is she dreaming all of this? It's just hard to really tell what's real and what's not, and I think that just made it
Right, but
really
that's the
hard
point. That's
like that.
exactly the point.
hmm So,
Like the fact that you can't tell what's real and what's not and what's actually happening is exactly the point. Like that is the point of the movie. You know what I mean? Like this disassociation, this sense of confusion and not really knowing and feeling lost and confused, but also with some small degree of groundedness. Like it captures that perfect. In my opinion, it captures that perfect. So I don't know.
yeah.
I honestly like I genuinely have nothing but positive things to say about this, which is very rare. But I really cannot think of like many valid criticisms for this movie.
Well, it's hard to think of uh, some of like the bad things because you don't know what's real and what's not. It's hard to tell. I think that's the only
Uh,
problem I have with it is it's really confusing, but it's meant to be confusing.
mm,
I think.
being confused, being confused is the effect. You know what I mean? That's the point of the movie, and I think that that's where it's like artistic integrity lies. And if you are able to look back and say, okay, don't take everything that's happening so seriously, as in don't assume that everything that's happening is really happening. You can kind of go, well, maybe she's twisting this in her head, or maybe she's, misinterpreting this, or maybe she's taking this in from another experience. That type of thing. I mean, there are all kinds of tiny details that I wanted to mention that I just forgot. They're so small that, like, there's really not. If this was a lesser movie, these small details wouldn't be there, like the fish on the blog. If this was a lesser movie, that little tiny detail would not be pointed out. You know what I mean? It would not be, or it wouldn't be there at all. So it's just, and you could do that through every scene in this movie. You could probably pause this movie at every single frame, or at least every single scene, and find something, if not several things that you haven't seen before, that you haven't noticed before, and it could be something that's entirely pertinent to the movie. You know what I mean? So I guess I could see some people complaining in the sense that, like with Rumi, the Rumi twist, people say it feels out of character and it feels deliberately, uh, you know, unexpected, like it's forced. But I completely disagree because if you look through, you really pay attention to the movie, you won't really notice it until you watch it again. But you see Me Mania talking to her on the thing. You see her reaction to Mima's, you know, these various things that Mima is doing that she doesn't approve of, and you see her. You kind of get a little bit of backstory about her being a pop idol, and it's like when you really think about it, when you really think about the possibility of Rumi being the killer, it all makes sense. Like it all makes perfect sense. Um,
So, were those parents at the
and
beginning
I
talking about the pop idol? Was that Rumi's parents? Is that
the wait, 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 wait. The
I don't
parents at the
remember a
beginning
part.
talking about the pop idol.
I don't remember a part where Rumi saying that she was a pop idol. I remember her talking about Mima being a pop idol.
Wait, what? No, 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 no. It's a very small detail. It's one of those blink and you'll miss it type
Minuscule.
of dialogue lines.
Very small.
Yes, very very small. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm lucky to have noticed it the first time I watched it. Um, but it's a very specific scene. I remember it because it's early in the movie, and I remember like noticing it the first time and seeing how people could be confused. But the manager Rumi is talking to the other manager, and he says something about her being a failed pop idol, right? A failed pop idol. So it doesn't necessarily give you a perspective of Rumi, but with the knowledge, right, that she's a failed pop idol, that she kind of
She's
has this
trying to.
strong, almost,
Yeah, I can see that now. She's trying to like
you know
take
what I mean?
Mima's place as like she doesn't want to
Right,
be a
right. Or
pop
she
idol, so
feels like
she's
feels almost like Mima. Yeah, she feels almost like Mima might not deserve it necessarily. You know what I mean? Like almost spiteful. And I think that's probably why she tries to kill her is because she's thinking, I failed at doing this, and you are throwing it away. That's personally how I think that Rumi is interpreting it. That's how I think. And then we know that Mimania sees it as your Mimania sees Mima's actions in the TV show as perverting his idea of what Mima should be.
yeah.
Uh,
Mima's
we know
supposed to
that
be a
much.
pop
So
idol
this
to
illusion,
Mimania.
right. He sees her. He sees the real Mima as a betrayer, and so through this we know that through this and the interaction over the internet, especially, we know that Mima and I mean not Mima, Mimania and Rumi are teaming up. So this this is a movie that you could watch 10 times and get a different understanding, a different takeaway every single time, and you'd find several details and several things that you didn't notice, before at all. I guess you know what? Actually, bringing this up, that does kind of remind me of one big complaint, like one major thing, or not major actually. It's not really major at all when you think about it. But the very very final scene, you know what I mean? The final scene.
The one where she's in the
I'm pretty
hospital,
sure.
or when she's
Yeah, the whole hospital thing. During that, Rumi, we see Rumi, and I believe we see a news report or something like that confirming or supposedly confirming that Rumi is the one who killed them. We see that Rumi was the one who killed. I'm pretty sure it says inadvertently it says that Rumi is the one who killed the bodyguard and the other manager when it's made to look as if, like you said, with the eyes and everything, that it was Mima that did it. So I really don't think there is an answer. Like I think it's the reason why people are still questioning it today is because there's not a concrete answer. There may have been at one point, but Satoshi Kon, being the genius that he is, deliberately mixed it up, so it's impossible to tell. It's impossible to tell. It's not what matters. What matters isn't really who killed who. What matters is the loss of identity, the confusion, the paranoia. That's what matters. So in that sense, this movie is thematically perfect. I mean thematically perfect. There's no flaw there at all. There's literally no flaw to be found there. It does everything it should. You know what I mean? It's not a murder mystery. It's a documentation of someone's paranoia and someone's disassociation. That's that's the point of the movie. So it's, I don't know.
yeah.
I think that's just
So
that's why I love it so much, I guess.
I was seeing it more as like a murder mystery.
That wasn't my complaint though.
I think I was seeing it more as a murder mystery. So I was like, who's the killer? Who's gonna do all this? Because I'm used to horror movies having concrete answers, and this one does not. Like it's, I think even after like your 10th or like 15th watch of this, you're still gonna be left with some unanswered questions, because there's so much detail. That's a really impressive thing, to put so much detail in such a it's not a super long film. I think it's an hour and 20 minutes. And it's not super long, but they put so much detail into it that it's just really impressive. Am I cutting out for him? I might be cutting out. So hello? Are you there? So let's see if he comes back or not. Might be doing something. But I think some of the points of this movie, I think it's just overall really confusing. And that's one of the problems I have with it, is that there's a lot of stuff to be looking at and to keep track of without trying to confuse the story. And that I can see why certain people don't like it. I feel like one person in general who would not like this is Dean, Ty's uncle. He would probably not like this movie.
Um, okay, I'm back.
Hey, I was telling them that I don't think Dean would enjoy this movie because it's so much. It's I just don't think he'd enjoy this movie that much. Because first of all,
Yeah,
he said he
it's
didn't like
so much
horror.
vague
It's
shit.
so much vague. A lot of the exposition is, or a lot. It's just there's so much stuff to be like to keep track of, and I don't know.
Hmm.
I'm in the middle. I think I sort of enjoy it, but I'm not gonna watch it like a million times. I don't.
Hmm.
I don't quite love it. I like it. It's not as good as Metropolis. I still really enjoyed Metropolis. Uh, but I don't.
Mm.
I'm still thinking
I
of how
would
I want
fat
to review
disagree.
it.
I would have to say, I would have to say, ultimate disagree. Maybe the hardest I've ever disagreed with you ever on that one. I think that Perfect Blue is astronomically better than Metropolis. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Metropolis, but I think that Perfect Blue is Satoshi Kon's psychological masterpiece. That's my opinion. But I you kind of cut off when the point where you cut off was where you said that you were looking at it as more of a murder mystery. I completely got my audio fucked from that point. So, was there anything you said other than what you just told me that I missed out on?
No, I just said I was looking at it more as a murder mystery because that's what I'm used to in horror movies. So, like more who's
Yeah.
the murderer. That's what I'm used to. So,
Hmm.
I think I saw the movie that way. Maybe if I watch it again, I'll see it through more of like a psychological thriller type thing. Because I don't think it's quite horror movie,
Yeah.
but or not our type of horror movie.
No, it's horror. It's definitely horror.
Is it? It's kind of like Seven.
It's
I'd compare
definitely
it to Seven.
it's definitely psychological horror. For me at least, the ideas and things that this movie covers, like about losing your identity and disassociating from the world, are absolutely terrifying. Like, and especially the way it makes you experience it, it's absolutely terrifying. It makes me think about what if that happened to me. What if I had a stressful event, or I had, what if my underlying problems that I have right now are something that I can't even trace at all because I'm so used to it and accommodated to it that, you know, I'm doing fatal or not fatal, but I'm doing, things without even realizing it. It's so this movie is definitely horror. It's just not traditional horror. It's
Yeah.
it's very unique take on horror. That's just my opinion. I'm not trying to tell you you're wrong, but I think I think this movie definitely is without a question of a doubt a horror movie. Um,
Well, do you have any other
but
statements or
well,
anything that you want to talk about for this movie?
yeah. I didn't like the credits music. I did not like the credits music. I did not like how it cut out to the credits music either. So that was my. I just thought it was a little bit quick, and that's it. That's my only complaint. That's my only complaint with this movie is that the end credits, when it switches to the end credits, it's a little bit corny. That's really it.
Eh, I
I mean, I'm not saying it
I don't.
doesn't have other flaws.
Uh, Wait, the end credits, is that like a pan up to the sky or something? Is that for this one, or am I thinking? I might be thinking
No,
Cowboy
no, no.
Bebop
She
or
like
something.
looks. She looks into the mirror. She looks into the mirror and she says, "I'm still me," or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
She's like, "I'm
yeah.
still me," and I like that. I like that line. I like that line,
Yeah,
but
she
I just
looks in
don't like the cut.
the rear view mirror, and then you can see her glasses, and yeah. Now I remember this. So yeah, that's a bit
Yeah,
corny. That's a bit cheesy. But hey,
yeah, it's cheesy, but
so did she get rid of her
it is what it
disorder
is.
by putting
Nah, I don't think so.
Rumi into a mental hospital?
No, because no, no, no. We know she didn't. No, we know she didn't. We know that's not what happened. Because when she looks at Rumi, and Rumi is looking at the mirror,
She
right?
still sees herself as Mimi, yeah,
She still
or
sees
Mima.
herself as the pop idol Mima, right?
Hmm.
But that's Mima seeing Rumi's reflection as the pop idol Mima, which is a statement in and of itself. You know, it's a statement of the pop idol characterization idea of Mima, kind of. I don't want to say transferred, but reflected, literally reflected. I mean, thematically and literally reflected in Rumi in that scene. So it's not rid of her; it'll always be a part of her, but it's something that I would suppose has more awareness of. That's what I would say. More control over her, or something along those lines. I'm assuming she got help because it seems to be months or maybe even years after the final events transpire, which actually does remind me the fight between Mima and um, Rumi, the last one, where Mima sees her as pop idol
Yeah,
Mima.
and they're being
Um, I
Pop Idol
think
Mima's chasing.
I think that's my favorite part.
I
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
yeah, I don't know what my favorite part is. I honestly don't. I like that scene, but then I don't know why. Well, Mima's the better person in general, but she kind of saves uh, Rumi. But it does look like she got hit by the car. Yet she comes out with almost no scratches, except for like
Yeah.
psychologically. And I think that's a little weird. But
Mm.
I
Well,
don't know.
I think you could say I think you could say that Mima saving Rumi was almost a subconscious action of her trying to save what she saw to be the image of herself. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
As pop idol Mima. I kind of wondered for a minute. I was like, why in the world would Mima save this woman who just tried to kill her? And I was like, well, I think it could be that it's kind of Mima trying to save this representation of herself that she's afraid of, but she also is afraid to let go of, I guess.
Hey, the good thing about this movie, are you done with your everything you had to talk about, or do you have any more
Yeah.
points?
Pretty much. That's pretty much
So
it. I mean, I could go on talking forever, but I don't want
the
to.
one
You
good
know.
thing that came out of this movie is it didn't go for a perfect blue two, like most horror movies. So
Well,
it could
the
possibly go for
one
a
good
perfect
thing,
blue two. So because
the one good thing.
the one good thing, what is it?
You said the one good thing.
Man, I like this movie, but there's just so much. It's you just carrying the weight throughout the movie. You're just like, okay, what's going on? You ask more questions, and it kind of just takes away from the movie. The movie, and I
Mm.
like certain aspects of the movie. I like how you can feel the characters' emotions, but I know for sure I like this movie just as like a watch. I'm not gonna analyze it. I'm not gonna be those theorizers that just like tear this movie apart and just look at every little detail. But I like it for just being able to watch it. I'm not gonna analyze it. It's a little hard to watch a subtitled movie and try to pay attention to all the details, but yeah, I know
Hmm.
you're gonna get pissed off when I rate this because it's not gonna be super high. So
Our ratings will probably be completely diametrically opposed.
yeah,
So, I mean, do you want to go on to the ratings?
yeah. Let's go ahead and review these things. Real quick, we're gonna say our usual thing. Our reviews are subjective. Or movie reviews are subjective, or movies are subjective. Our reviews are our own personal opinion. You may enjoy this movie a different way. Go ahead and tell us if you like it or if you hate it down in the comments. And let's go and get into the review. Do you want to start, or do you want to end on the?
Yeah, I'll start. I'll start so I don't have to. Well, see, this is difficult because I don't know if I want to hear your response, be mad, and then rebut the opposite, or if I want to declare it and then have you respond, then have me respond again to your response. So it's either way, really. So I guess I'll
Either
let you
way,
go
you're gonna
first.
have to listen. You're gonna have to listen to me say why I don't like it.
Yeah, yeah. So I suppose you might as well go ahead.
Okay, so get ready and strap in, boy. This movie overall, I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 10. Now, I
Whoa,
I know it's really
whoa.
low, but do not like it. I have problems with it, and
What?
it's probably the way I see it. I was paying attention to it as if it was a regular horror movie, like a Western horror movie. No, nonetheless, and it's not. It's very different from what I expected, and I think
Oh
that kind
my
of takes away
god.
a little bit. That's
No,
it
you don't want
is
to have your expectations subverted.
not with this, no. But hey, I do like certain things. I think the cheesy, it's a bit
Oh
cheesy in
god.
parts.
Wait, what?
The one I really like how you can feel the character's emotions, especially Mima. Mima's the best with like feeling her emotions and getting like chills like as she's like freaks out or has episodes and stuff. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but then the twist, I didn't see that coming, and I didn't like it, but I could see you probably I could see why you like it, and some people like it, but I didn't like it that much. I would have been more happy if it was Me Mania than that,
Okay.
but that's one of my problems with it.
That's so generic, though. That's so generic. That would be such a generic thing if it was just Me Mania. The fact that it isn't is what makes it
Yeah,
so
but it's
great.
out of left field if you're watching it for the first time. You don't see
It
Rumi
is
as the
not.
problem.
It is not. It is not.
If you're
It is
watching it for
not
the
out of
first
left field.
time, if you're watching it for the first time on subs with
Mm.
sub, it's hard to pay
But
attention
it's
to
even.
the movie's details when you're trying to read subtitles sometimes. So
But you could even. But you could even like. I'll tell you what happened the first time I saw it. I didn't see the twist coming, but I considered it as a possibility because from the moment she said she was a failed pop idol, and then I saw like some stuff happen. I was like, what if it's Rumi? You know what I mean? I was like, what if it is? Maybe it's Rumi, right? And then I watched it, and I was surprised because I didn't expect it to be Rumi because there is legitimate things that Mimania did. So I was like, okay, so it is. But then it got me. It got me with the double whammy because it was Rumi with Mimania. So this movie like subverts your subversions of your expectation. Like, but so I think that's great. I think that's amazing. I think if you really pay attention, then you wouldn't see it coming, but you would be able to understand how it's plausible, which you did say earlier that you did understand how that could be a thing. So I'm just saying, it's
I
it's very it's
it's just I wasn't happy with the outcome. I also didn't like the end. You said you liked the fight like kind of between the two. I wish it was a little more fight, but Mima's one of those runners. She's gonna between fight or flight. She's gonna fly. Basically, she's gonna get out of there. And I don't know. Maybe if I watch it again and kind of understand a little more, I'll start to like it a little more. But it just, for the first time for me watching it, it was kind of just, I wasn't expecting it. For all I know, it could have just been some random, like the director of the TV show could have had, oh, he was a pop idol at one point. Oh, well, he's also has some sort of disorder. It could be anyone if you think about that.
Well, if they left that,
It, it's just so, it's just,
if they
I
left
wasn't
that
expecting
detail
it.
in there, I would assume that it was in there for a reason. Well, yeah, but you're not. Okay, I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to be. I'm not trying to call you
Well,
out.
I was
but
expecting
why
this.
would you want?
Was-
Why would you want to be able to predict exactly what's going to happen? Why would you want that?
It's just, well, I like certain times where, so for example, what is it? Shutter Island. That's I can say that's a similar movie, but you can start to expect what's coming. For this one, it just for some reason it was just so sudden and weird. It was out of the blue for me, but mostly because I don't think I was paying as close to attention as I should have to certain details. Like it's very detail oriented, and then you start to see what's going on. Like
Okay.
it's like it's I don't know. I like the animation though. I'll boost it. I'll boost it to like a 5. There, my 5 out of 10.
No, you don't. No, there's no going back. There's no going back.
But the animation at
But-
some points is iffy. I like it.
I
for
disagree,
just
but
watching.
well, yesterday, okay, I'm calling you out. I'm calling you out right now. yesterday.
I
You
said I
said that
liked
you
it,
really liked it.
but I've
Yeah.
had that was right after watching it. That was before I was working on some notes.
I would think with notes and context it would make more sense. But okay. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
I'm just gonna say I
But
don't recommend this to for people new to anime. I think it's
no,
just
for people new to anime, fuck no.
no.
Not unless you're like into like David Lynch. If you like David Lynch, fucking, experimental ass shit, then yeah, then I would say yeah. If you do, like, if you like unpredictable, fucking experimental shit, then yeah, for sure. Like if someone was like, I don't know, fucking, if they're like, I watched Twin Peaks, or I watched fucking, whatever. I watched Eraserhead.
I
What's
really
a, and I
like
really
Shutter
liked it.
Island.
What's
I
a good
really
anime?
like Joker. I really like. Let's think of all the ones. With big twist. I don't know. The twist in psychology. Yeah, I can't think.
Yeah,
Taxi Driver maybe.
but Taxi Driver, yeah,
Which
yeah.
is actually
Taxi
another
Driver in
reason
this
why
movie
I can
actually.
see. I can see you liking this movie. You really like Taxi Driver, so you'd really like this movie. Because if you compare it to Taxi
Oh yeah,
Driver,
no, that's
some of
that.
those-
The similarities.
Yeah.
Yeah, the similarities are definitely something that I think it's entirely possible that there was inspiration taken from Taxi Driver. I think it's entirely possible. But are you finished with your
Yeah.
rating?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, I'm gonna go on to my rating now. Okay. So first of all, while I do respect your opinion, I gotta admit, Matt, giving this movie a 4 or even a 5 is a crime against humanity and a crime against art, and are words that should never be uttered by any human being ever. This movie is a groundbreaking masterpiece. It is Satoshi Kon's best film, and it is one of the best anime films in general ever made. Aside from I Want to Eat Your Pancreas, it's probably my favorite movie we've talked about so far. Um, Obviously, this movie has flaws. It has some flaws, but to me, the general point, the where it goes, and the direction, and the characters, and everything that this movie does well overshadows it by such a large degree that it's impossible for me to really even care about them that much. So I'm gonna give this movie a 9.5 out of 10.
Why
This
don't
is
you
a
just go for the
this
10
is
out of
for
10?
me.
You said it was perfect earlier.
It's
It's literally perfect.
okay. I can't literally. Okay, I cannot give it a 10. I'll give it a 10 for enjoyment. Okay, but I'll give it a 9.5 on the grounds that every movie has flaws. So if we're taking into account objectivity, then yeah, it cannot be a 10, right? I mean, a 10 is theoretically impossible. But if we're talking about enjoyment,
Wait, if you're
if we're talking about
questioning that,
enjoyment,
if you're questioning that, we've rated a movie in the past as 10, and if you're saying this right now, then that wouldn't have been a 10.
but if I enjoy it, it can be a 10. I mean, like if I'm taking into account total enjoyment. For me, like when I feel like the total heightened enjoyment combined with the objective, like, composition of it, when those two things combine and they're both like a 9.5, then I kind of say, okay, this can be a 10. That's my consensus.
So your 9.5 is actually kind of like a 10.
It's like a soft 10. That's what it is. It's a
Okay.
soft 10.
Oh, okay.
It's not a hard 10 like Berserk. It's a soft 10. Okay?
Trying to
Berserk is
remember-
such a hard 10.
I'm trying to remember which
me,
one
it's such
you
a hard
did
10.
on.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm trying to remember which
Probably I
one.
Want to Eat Your Pancreas.
Yeah, I think I also did a 10 or something on that also.
Yeah.
think-
See, that movie emotionally is like the enjoyment level is like fucking way out of the roof, all out of the house, and then like the objectivity score is also pretty high. So at that point, the enjoyment overshadows the objective analysis, and it just becomes a 10 for me. That's like I said, that's how I feel about Berserk. It has, don't get me wrong, it has flaws, but its enjoyment for me is above 10. It's like 11. It's like therapy, like good therapy. So it goes above the objective meter. enjoyment. The objective meter matters, right? But to a lesser extent than the enjoyment matter. Because if something's objectively good but you're not enjoying it, then it's like, what's the fucking point? Why are you watching it? So when the objective meter is high and the enjoyment meter is high, but really the enjoyment meter is all that really matters. So yeah. So this movie's like a 9.5, soft 10. That's my consensus. This is one of the best anime movies ever made.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
Okay. So remember, movies are subjective. My dislike, maybe you're like, you may be like Ty on this movie. You may be like me on this movie. And if you are like me on this movie, go ahead and tell us why you don't like it. If you are like Ty on this movie, tell me why you hate me so much. Movies are subjective. Again, the only way to review a movie is by your own accord. So, and then we're gonna go into recommendations, and I'm just gonna go ahead and say that we're gonna be doing Grave of the Fireflies next week. We were supposed to do it this week, but we chose to not do it this week because I'm going to be out of town and we wanted everyone to be together for that one. So we're going to be doing Grave of the Fireflies next week. So, do you have any recommendations?
Which is also one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah, Grave of the Fireflies. Even though it's the one we're watching.
Okay.
Now, if you don't like Grave of the Fireflies, Matt, I'm gonna be disappointed.
I really like that animation style, so I'm gonna probably enjoy it. Okay. Yeah. I think I gave Mary and the Witch's Flower a high score just because of the animation alone. The story was
if that's the case, then you better invent a whole new rating scale for Grave of the Fireflies because it's.
Well, I didn't rate it too high. I think
it's an experience.
Like 6 or like a 5.5 or something right there. It beat Perfect Blue. That's all that matters.
Oh my god! I just made the realization. You put Mary and the Witch's Flower over fucking Perfect Blue. Bro, you are a fiend.
It's just not my
you
type
are a
of
fiend.
movie.
You are you've committed a crime. You have committed a crime. That's like putting Berserk under like fucking what's a terrible manga? It's like putting Berserk under fucking Sword Art Online. Or that's a light novel. But that's like putting Berserk under Sword Art Online. That's like criminal. That is fucking criminal. That's like a war crime. Like holy shit.
Hey, at some point we'll do a movie that I'm gonna absolutely love and you're not gonna like. And that's kind of with Unhinged, maybe. Unhinged was kind of that way.
Yeah, probably.
So
that'll probably happen.
Yeah.
It kind of already did with Unhinged.
Yeah.
Like you were talking about how you liked Unhinged.
And you liked it
I was
ironically.
like, God, this movie's fucking terrible. Yeah, I liked it ironically. I loved it ironically. It's one of the best movies I've ever seen. Unironically, it's a fucking dumpster fire. But as a joke, that movie
really
is
like
fucking
Fat Russell Crowe.
Amazing. Yeah. Fat Russell Crowe is the worst Russell Crowe. He just looks like fucking... Who plays fucking the dude in Big Lebowski?
It's
not the dude. That's Jeff Bridges. I'm talking about fucking the other fucking guy.
John Goodman?
From the Big Lebowski. John Goodman. Fat Russell Crowe. Fat Russell Crowe is just a diet John Goodman.
Well, I'm just going to say, I think Fat Russell Crowe beats Gladiator Russell Crowe any day, honestly.
All right. You've sinned twice in a row. Twice in 1 hour.
No, I think just the aggression and the hatred.
This is deliberate.
But you also got to remember, Fat Russell Crowe has gasoline. He can.
I guess his gasoline and his rage.
He's also got a
divine
truck.
Rage powers. Like he's
got a truck.
And a big old truck. And he has his boomer mentality, the boomer shield, which I hate to use the word, but it's just true. Honestly, he deflects everything.
Okay, let's go ahead.
But
and do our
all right, I digress.
before we get into another
We already did.
full film.
You're losing track of time. Are you losing track of your identity?
I didn't do my recommendation.
Is this a skit?
I didn't do my recommendation.
Oh, I guess
you said Grave of the Fireflies after we said we were going to do Grave of Fireflies. I'm going to recommend The Devil's Backbone by Guillermo del Toro. It's a good film. It's a good horror movie.
All right.
So it's not really a horror movie, but hey. Okay, so we're going to end the episode here, and let's say bye, Ty.
See ya. Bye. Don't give Perfect Blue a 4 ever.
Or he'll
That's
come.
a bad
He'll come to your house. He'll come to your house and light it up like Russell. He'll come to your house and light it up like Fat Russell Crowe. Bye.
No.